setting it up, I've had a problem where the controller, so I use a DualSense 5, just because I have a PlayStation and it's just easier that way. I don't want to buy a separate one. The problem with Dead Rising 2 and Dead Rising 2 Off the Record is that it doesn't want to recognize your controller. Now, I have got it working and I had to look online for it, so I thought I could make this a highlight and just put it on YouTube in case anyone else is struggling with it. So let me just go to my screen here. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do to make Dead Rising work, it wants to find an Xbox 360 controller. That's just what it wants to do. It doesn't want to recognize any newer controllers, especially not a PS5 one. So you think Steam Overlay would solve that, or whatever it's called, Steam Input would solve that, but it doesn't. So what you do is, first things first, go into Dead Rising 2 Off the Record, right click it, go to Properties, and then go to Controller and turn this off. So disable Steam Input. And that's all you'll have to do on Steam regarding this. The rest of the stuff, it's fairly straightforward, but it might be complicated to kind of read about. So I thought just break it down into a video here. It might be easier. So what you do then is you go to this website, and I'll link it if I put it on YouTube as well. It should be there. You go on to speedrun.com and Dead Rising 2 resources. Now they've uploaded this, and you just follow it literally step by step. There's no problems whatsoever doing this. You just download DR2 controller fix and follow the instructions, but it can get a little bit finicky, so I just thought I'd cover it. So we'll just go to the downloads here. I've extracted it all here. You can see my my alert noises and stuff like that and the background images that I downloaded. But yeah, you just unzip the file, you go straight in here, and the instructions are all here. Now there will be another file here as well, that you just copy or you just cut and paste into Dead Rising 2, but I'll show you where to do that as well. But the instructions are just here. It's fairly straightforward. So the first thing you do is you, the file that I've moved already, you place it into your Dead Rising 2 folder. So you go into Program Files, Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Dead Rising 2, which is what I have done. So we'll go into there, Dead Rising 2 Off the Record. So you can see we're into the Steam Apps, Common, Dead Rising 2 Off the Record. And this is what it looks like. It's here. I've pasted it in here, and then you just run it. Now, when you run it up for the first time, it will just have some instructions in front of you. If we go back to the web page, or sorry, we go back to the instructions rather. You have to make sure your controller is connected to the PC, of course. That makes sense. You double click that, the file. You double click this, and it will create some files. Just say yes to all of it and agree to the internet settings. Basically, just say yes and yes, like twice. Then when you go to the controller general tab, this is where I had some problems, so you might run into it too if you're a bit confused by it, and this might help. So it will come up like this, and I fixed it now, but generally if I move, you can see I move the controller, it moves it on screen as well. It's exactly what it should be. But generally when I set this up, all the buttons were wrong. So if you have that problem, we'll just clear this, right? Just if you're hitting, like, say you're hitting the triggers and it's moving the right stick or left stick instead, which is what was happening to me, just clear this whole thing because it can get a little bit confusing. And then when you want to map it, all you do is you click on, say you want this, so this is the left trigger, you want to map the left trigger. You just click on this, you hit record, and then you hit the left trigger on your controller. And then you can see if I hit it more, it does the left trigger. So it will work. You can do that with everything as well. Just be careful of like the axis, for example. So when you hit record, it tells you which way to put the axis. So like it said to go to the right there. So if you look again, it has this red dot. It tells you which direction to put it in, so it knows how to map it. And if you do this the other way around, so I turned to the right there, which is what I should have done. But if I turn to the left instead, you can see it's going the opposite direction. It might be mirrored, actually, this camera, I'm not sure. But it's going the opposite direction. So I'm pushing left on the controller and it's going right on screen. So you don't want that. And then it's like the rest of it is very straightforward. So Y button, you just map it to triangle, or X button, you map it to square. It's like fairly straightforward. You just hit it like that. No problem. You can set it up any way you'd like. I'm just going to reset it. I wonder, we'll go back to the way I had it. I'm just going to exit it and then go back into it. Do I want to make save? Do I want to save changes? No. So at the end of it, it should look like, let's see, it should come up now. Yeah, so these are all my controls. So you can see it all works perfectly. And I've mapped the touchpad to be back as well. So it should look like that at the end. And then that's all you really have to do, other than one small little step then as well. So the next thing, you can just close this as well once you've done that. The next thing you do is, so you hit save in the bottom right corner. So make sure you save after you've set it all up. And then it says open a file that's created in your Dead Rising 2 folder called x360ce.ini with Notepad. Now, I didn't have that. It didn't say that exactly. So you just click into, I believe it was this one, Notepad. No, it's not this one. Sorry. It is, I have it here anyway, but let's just close these. Which one was it again? It was, it's configuration settings. That's exactly what it is. So it'll come up as configuration settings. Let's just leave that for now. Let's just restore changes. Don't save. Don't save. So this is what it should look like. So it will have here, it will have input hook 1. So it'll have input hook like this, and it will have input hook 1 underneath it. And in the instructions, which we'll go back to, which I accidentally closed there, we'll go back to downloads, this instructions. It will just say input hook and hook mode equals 1. So we delete both of those and then copy and paste this. So input hook LL equals 0, all that stuff. Just copy and paste that's directly in, as you can see we've done here. And then make sure you save. So just save and close it. And then it should work. It should pretty much work straight away for you. So that's the problem I had today anyway. So I know it's just like the Dead Rising only wants to look for Xbox 360 controllers. So we should be able to launch it now, and it should work no problem at all. Let's hope it did. Let's open it, and then I'll transition back to it. Should be okay. There are workarounds that didn't really work for me, which was you can map your controller to be like the mouse and keyboard, which doesn't really work because it's extra sensitive, and you have to use the touchpad on the controller to like punch basically. So it's a bit terrible. Just launched Dead Rising 2 now. It should open up, and then you can see that the controller is actually working. So yeah, I'll probably highlight that and just put it on YouTube. It's not the most edited. It's not the most like clear tutorial, but it's just there's no YouTube videos on it, so I'll put it up in case anyone else has problems with it as well. But it's fairly straightforward, and the controller should work. So I'll just show you now. So I'll tab over to here, and then go back to the game. So if I hit the controller, start game. And it checks for save files every time because it's an old game. And then A and A again. So it all works.